Hello everyone and welcome to the Real-Time Enterprise channel on VANTIQ TV, our video and podcast series of interviews with thought leaders and practitioners in digital transformation and the real-time enterprise. My name is Blaine Matthew and I'm Chief Marketing and Product Officer at VANTIQ. Note that you can reach either myself or the guest by sending a note to realtime@vantiq.com and we will be more than happy to follow up. So today, we have a very special edition of VANTIQ TV, recorded live at the VANTIQ 2018 Global Partner Summit. What a group. As you can see, we're joined live by an audience of almost 70 people from around the world, actually 10 different countries represented at the Global Partner Summit. And the theme of VANTIQ TV is digital transformation at the speed of real time. Today, we're joined by 4 experts in digital transformation, and we've heard from some of them over the course of the summit in the last 2 days. And let me invite them up on the stage. So first, we have Vilavanh Messien from Infosquare. Vilavanh, please. Welcome, Vilavanh. And next, we have Evandro Prieto from NX2. Please. And then we have Vincent from Sunsea. Vincent. Why don't we start here, Vilavanh? So Vilavanh, tell us a little bit more about yourself. We heard about Infosquare, already and what the company does, but how did you get to be the managing director of Infosquare?
So my name is Vilavanh Messien.
Hold direct right up close.
I'm the one of the co-founders of Infosquare. So we started a company 4 years ago in Belgium. So prior to Infosquare, I used to have a design company that was bought out, and we started again a new adventure. So we specialize in information management, whatever that may mean. So it's a pretty broad term. We became partners, I think, one of the very first partners of VANTIQ in Europe. And then we've been working very actively and closely with VANTIQ ever since. We truly believe in the technology, and we've had some very interesting discussions with existing customers and prospects at various occasions.
And do you personally have a technical background, or?
I'm actually very technical, even though at Infosquare I'm in charge of business development and alliances. So my role is to find the right partners that will provide us with the right technologies, the right products that we can use, leverage for our customers. And VANTIQ is certainly one of our most important partners today.
Interesting. So you're an engineer in charge of sales, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe that's the trick. Maybe that's the answer.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Vilavanh. Appreciate that. Evandro, tell us a little bit about your background. We heard all about NX2 yesterday. Really an amazing company. Some great videos you produced. But tell us about your personal background.
I have 36 years old, so I founded a small company with 17 years. 17. So
when
I
you were 17 years old?
17 years old, I founded a company and always working with IT, especially in financial area, bankings. And last year I founded NX2, a new company, in developing software, performance in database softwares. And last year we started this new job, new company.
And do you also have a technical engineering background?
Yes, I have a degree in computer science, and now I'm starting to do the commercial part, the sales. I'm learning with the team about to do pre-sales. This is not new for me.
Well, thank you very much. And Vincent, Tell us about your background.
Okay, I'm also a technical guy before, a hardware engineer. So my background of technology is based on some hardware design. So 13 years ago, I founded Vincent and being merged last year. Yeah,
With Sunsea.
with Sunsea, yes. It took me some time to customize to that.
Yeah. And how big is Sunsea Group again?
Now it's about 2,000 employees.
Okay. So you went from your own company to being a part of a much larger organization.
Actually, I'm not so related to the Vincent business now. I'm in charge of the technology, strategy, and some new products in Sunsea Group.
Yeah. Thank you. So my first question is for the panel is, what particularly excites you about what's going on in technology these days, and where technology and business are mixing? What excites you? Please go ahead, Vincent.
Okay, when I founded Vincent 13 years ago, there's no such thing like IoT. But everybody talk about machine to machine. Actually, I think it's the same thing. But with the progress of technology and also with a lot of things happened. So I think for IoT, all the data transformation is just beginning. It's a very exciting area, I think.
So IoT, okay. Evandro, what do you think? What particularly excites you going on at the intersection of technology and business?
I like so much to solve problems. So solve problems fast and to produce with velocity and to produce more revenues, more sales. This part to change the companies to do that is what I want to do always. In the technologies, it's possible. Always they made this speedy, the velocity so hard, so many. It's possible to provide these solutions for the companies.
Is there any particular technology that you find really relevant and impactful these days? Important?
These days, of course, VANTIQ real-time applications. They are it's a path for this future. I believe.
Okay. Vilavanh, what do you think? What do you find particularly interesting?
The fact that we can nowadays address things that we weren't able to do a few years ago. I mean, if you watch sci-fi movies a few years ago, there were things that we would never imagine to be possible to do, and now we have those technologies available at hand. And I think more importantly, I mean, those technologies are there to be used to help businesses, basically. And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. So Vincent mentioned IoT a minute ago. Where do you think we are in the maturity curve of IoT? Are we, it's been around for a few years now. Are businesses finally starting to get out of the lab and into the real world? Or is it still early days? What are you seeing?
Well, I think that we're still on the very early stage. A lot of companies are still experimenting. We're not quite there yet. So of course, there are a few things coming up. They're still not mature. So there's much more to come in the future, that's for sure. And we will go again to address many more use cases. We will be much more efficient, effective with those new technologies. Yesterday we talked about 5G, and 5G is one of those new technologies that will help speed up the adoption of 5G.
Any other comment? Go ahead, Evandro.
I agree. We believe that the companies are in the early stages. In Brazil, particular, we have a great difficulty to found companies that have basic prepare to the new technology. They are starting exposing your informations. They are starting to call partners to do a new ecosystem. So, but it's important to see the future, just to see all the new technologies. But it's necessary to do a hard worker first to prepare these companies to follow this path.
What do you think, Vincent? Where are we in the maturity of IoT?
I think IoT is quite related to the big data and also some edge computing. So the problem is when we have the data, what we use it? How can we use it? So it's just now to connect everything. I think it's not the purpose. It's what we can use this data and all these things to make our life better. So for this, I think it's still in the very early stage. And I also think that US and also China is still leading this area. Because from the presentation yesterday, we can see in 2020, maybe for US and China, maybe will cover 50% of the connection. So it's still on the way.
Interesting. So let's shift to a topic which we talk a lot about on VANTIQ TV, which is human-machine collaboration, about people and systems working together. AI is obviously continues to be a very hot topic. There's a lot of people writing about the end of people. And Vincent, actually, you talked about machine-to-machine. Where do you think the future of people working collaboratively with machines is? Or do you believe that really the future is machine-to-machine and people will be out?
You know, I like Marty's idea in the first stage very much. It's collaboration of human and the machine. So I think it's why we are there. Or if there are only machines, well, dominated the world, why we are here. so that's I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Evandro, what do you think about AI, the predictions of the end of mankind?
I believe that the future really will be machine and humans. I believe that all words that repeat, we can reproduce it and repeat, will be replaced for machines. That's the case. But when you need to understand, to make some analysis, you need a human to choose the best options, because the machines will only predict some numbers that are probabilities for this, probabilities for that, but the human can watch the nuances, little things that I believe that machine cannot. So it's important, these collaborations.
What do you think, Vilavanh?
I think machines are just tools for us to use to make us more effective, efficient in certain tasks. But definitely they won't replace us. So hopefully. So yeah, the collaboration part is very, very important. So how do we make sure that we use the machines in the correct way, in the most effective way? I think, yeah, that's...
All right, well, I hope you're right, so we can be here next year having another good discussion. And I'm sure you will be. I'm sure you will be right, hopefully. So a common topic at the Global Partner Summit here has been about IT versus OT, and whether and who should actually be driving the digital transformation of companies. Is it the responsibility of the CIO? Are they the folks that should really be running this transformation, or is it the operations side? What has been your experience in trying to sell to or bring solutions to IT versus OT or the operations side? Why don't you go first, Vilavanh? What's your thought on this topic?
think this digital transformation, I mean, we've heard a lot about that, and it's about how companies can not only improve themselves, but how can they create new services, how can they generate new revenue streams. And IT, again, is just a means, it's just a tool. We're there to support them, and basically we need new technologies that will help companies, businesses to accomplish that, to quickly create new real added value services at low cost very quickly again, and this way they will be able to take more risk because they need to try out new things. So as it's no guarantee that you will get success from that, but at the same time, because you're able to be agile, deliver very quickly at low cost, and you reduce the risk, and then you're more willing to try. So if you don't try, I mean, will you survive? Probably not. So yeah, it's very. I mean, IT is there to support business, nothing more. So.
But have you found, as you've been selling solutions into enterprises for many years now, is it possible to go around IT, or is IT always there? How do you get around this challenge? Because if they're not the right people to sell to, they still exist in the enterprise. You have to work with them, right?
Sure. I mean, if you prove the real value of your solutions, basically when you're talking to the business, they're not very interested in the technical side of things. The technology is not very interesting in that. What they want to know is when the solution will be ready, what the solution will address, and how much it's going to cost, basically. So it's more a matter of a return on investment and being competitive, especially nowadays because time is probably the most important criteria. So they don't want it today or tomorrow, they want it yesterday. In IT is challenge and very much. So if you come to the business with the right solution, you tell them, this is the solution, what you want. You can have it now or tomorrow, at this price. How IT will respond to that? If they don't come up with the solution, then deal is done. And will they take the risk to propose something else to the business, knowing that they won't be able to deliver? Nothing. At the end of the day, I mean, we're companies, we're doing business, and the goal is to generate revenues. So.
What do you think, Evandro? IT versus OT, how are you successful selling into either side?
We had an example there. Ian Eduardo was in a telco company in Brazil, and we started with the IT team. I met some people there, some manager, and started to talk about VANTIQ. We made a presentation with technology, but when after meeting, doesn't matter, doesn't happen nothing. They are postpone the POC and these sales doesn't continues, right? In another opportunity with the same company, we met the director for digital transformation, the manager. They work with the business, the operational team. They presented VANTIQ, and we have a new POC next week because they saw they saw the benefits, the velocity that VANTIQ can do, and the best part is the technological team will participate on the spot because the manager asked for them. Let's go. I want to see this working. So, in our experience, always it's very important to involve business, the OT first, and IT will be included. This is our experience.
It's inevitable, so you can't totally take IT out, but they're not the place to start, you're saying. Okay,
That's
Vincent, do you agree with this philosophy that we hear from Vilavanh and Evandro?
I highly agree about that. What happened in China is in the past several years, people, many of the enterprise and some companies, factories, actually is very anxious about the transformation, because in China there are huge companies like Tencent or Alibaba. It changed a lot. A lot of small business cannot survive. So when the small company are anxious about where they can go, it's a very strong drive for them to change. So, but for the IoT and also data transformation of different business is quite fragmented. So when we try to sell something to the customer, I think first you should be very familiar about the business itself, so then you can give a good advice. Or I think it's very hard just talk about with the IT guys, because maybe it's just a part of the company, and maybe it's not so not so important in the whole business.
Very interesting. Well, agreement from the whole panel that the place to start is on the operations or business side. So there we go. I think that's pretty good confirmation of that. All right, well, thank you for that. So yesterday, our guest speaker, Roz Heiferman, gave a great presentation about digital transformation, and he introduced us to a new term, agilification. And it's really about how our company's able to be as agile as they need to be to really embrace and benefit from digital transformation. Are you seeing a challenge that companies are not agile enough, or maybe on the operations side they're starting to realize they need to become more agile? What do you think about the agility of companies, and are they ready to be flexible enough and nimble enough to really embrace digital transformation?
I think for many of the companies, they are not so ready for that. I think the best part of VANTIQ is that except it help to the customer to fulfill their how to express that. VANTIQ also provide a frame for the customer, also for us to think about, to focus on our business itself, the logic of business itself. For many customers, when we talk with them, they don't know. They want to be agile, but they don't know where to begin. Yeah. So the frame of VANTIQ, when we show them this frame, they are very happy, because it helps us and the customer to have a same language to think together, to work together.
Interesting. And what is the core of that language? Is it talking about real-time applications, or is it what is the language? To talk about that a little more.
It's not only real time. It's when people think about things, it's something like they will focus on their business flow itself, and the frame of VANTIQ is just help them to be logical, and it will help a lot.
Interesting. Thank you,
Yeah.
Vincent, for that. All right, Evandro, so back on the topic of agilification, and are the businesses you're talking to agile enough to be able to embrace these new ways of doing business and then the new technologies that they require?
I really believe that all companies will be inside the vortex. Remember that at this agile vortex, they really need to start now to learn serve because it's impossible. Now, on the future, they need to be agile. This is my opinion.
And are they agile? Are you seeing them yet?
No, not yet, but they are starting to learn to enter in this new area.
What are you seeing, Vilavanh? I know you work with some very large multinational companies. Are they agile, do you feel, or are they getting more agile, or are they as slow as dinosaurs?
Yeah, agility is a nice buzzword nowadays. Everyone tries to be agile. The reality is most of them are not, because of all the reasons that were actually mentioned over the last few days. I mean, some companies think that because they introduce some agile project methodology like Scrum, whatever it is, so they are agile, but they are not, because agility is not about using the right methodology. It's a different way of thinking. It's also about the willingness to test risk as well, and have the structure to support that. And that's why VANTIQ is so important as a platform, as a technology, because as opposed to a lot of other technology platform, it's business focused, it's business oriented. VANTIQ is there to help companies create business values. So we're not talking about technology. It's a great technology. It's a great platform with an impressive set of capabilities, but it's not what is the most important. The most important thing is that we provide companies with the ability to create new services very quickly. And that's one piece of the equation, that's one element that will actually help companies become more agile.
So speed and agility are tied together in an important way.
Speed, of course, because time to market has never been as important as it is right now, but you also need to have the ability to adapt quickly to changes, to any changes. Again, I was mentioning before that companies need to try new things. Okay, some new services will fail, some will become very successful, but we can't predict the lifetime of the new services. We no longer make long-term IT investments as we used to do in the past. Services have very short lifetime nowadays. Okay. They can be very successful, so you need to make as much profit as you can while the service is still, let's say, relevant. But nowadays, if you take too much time to complete a project, it's already obsolete by the time it goes live. So agility, it's about speed, it's about the ability to adapt, ability to launch new services in a controlled manner.
Please go ahead, Evandro.
I want to complement some information for agility. We saw in Brazil some big companies like banks. They're trying to be agile. So they launch your mobile app, but they follow the same method, the same process, the old process. You need to sign, but not the paper. Now you sign in the app.
Yeah.
But really need the sign? I don't know, because they are not really digital transformation in this case. They are only choose the platform. So I understand that they will need to recreate the business. That's it.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. So I didn't warn our guests I was going to ask this question, so get ready for one, but I ask it of all our guests on VANTIQ TV. So it's always one of my favorite parts of the conversation to ask what area of technology or business, or maybe technology and business, that you would like to call bullshit on. So there's an area where everyone is saying X and you say Y. Okay, you think the market is wrong. So what is something where you think the gurus are wrong and you actually feel a different way? Who wants to go first? Something you want to call BS. Go ahead, Vilavanh.
I'm very happy to mention blockchain is.
Blockchain. Okay, tell us why blockchain is, you're calling BS on blockchain.
But to me, at the end of the day, blockchain is just a distributed database in a, it's a write once, read many database. Nothing more than that. Doesn't provide much. I mean, data integrity, traceability, okay, time-based database, fine. So exists. Do we need blockchain? I don't know. I mean, it's a funny thing with blockchain. I mean, it's a huge buzzword. Everybody talks about blockchain. And the funny thing is, it's probably one of the very first time in history that we have a technology, we don't know what to do with it, and companies are investing humongous amount of money trying to figure out what to do with it. It's a bit weird. So.
Okay, blockchain. First panel BS. All right, what do you think? Evandro, what have you got for us? What is an area where you think we just don't have it right? You know, the market is not thinking about it correctly.
I don't believe, for example, in virtual reality that they sell it's all. Oh, you'll see all the things in virtual reality. I don't believe in that because they have some points that it's interest, but this is a technology that I don't know if it really increase value in experience. I don't know.
Okay, so we've just eliminated half of the VC investments in Silicon Valley now. Blockchain and virtual reality. Okay? Vincent, what have you got for us?
I think the idea of connect everything is totally bullshit.
Wow. The idea of connected everything is totally bullshit. Okay, tell us more about that. That's.
Okay, here's a story. When I visited Cambridge this July, I talked with two very, important professor, which studied human history. And when I talked with them, one of the professor just take out his handset. I think it's maybe the same old as I showed everybody yesterday. And the handset is powered off. And he told me he didn't want to be traced to be connected. So I think many people still hold that idea. Why we will connect everything? We need the freedom, the feeling of freedom. Okay.
Interesting. So the challenge of freedom versus always being on, always be connected.
Yes,
and everything connected.
Also, it's related to our maybe the second question. Everybody has its purpose and calling. It's not machine related. Maybe you will spend all your life to find that. Thank you.
Very, very philosophical. Thank you, Vincent. So maybe we'll wrap it up with some final tips or suggestions you might have for a business or technology leader that's trying to drive this kind of transformation in their business. Any final thoughts for us, Vilavanh?
Well, again, I would say we now have the right tools, the right technologies to help us speed up the digital transformation journey. So we need to take that opportunity to do it. I mean, VANTIQ is, again, it's a fantastic platform for that. So we give the ability to companies to try new things with minimal risk. We're reducing cost, we're reducing time as well. So it's a fantastic time for.
So take advantage of the time. It's now.
Yeah, it's now. Yeah.
Thank you, Vilavanh. Evandro, some tips or suggestions for a business leader?
For the business leader, get an open mind for new things, but you don't need to forget the simple, not forget that in the final, the customer needs to buy your product or service because you solve a problem for this customer, and you can use a lot of technologies. You can change your process, optimize it to change your process, and there are no magic. There are hard work always. That's it.
Undoubtedly. Okay, Vincent, some final tips or thoughts for business leaders?
I think I like the saying yesterday. You cannot change the way, but you have to learn how to serve. So everything will be faster, like 5G or everything will be faster. So if you want to survive in this accelerated world, you have to be agile and accept the new things, and but focus on the real, the what people or what the business need itself. Not just think about everything in technical view.
Yes, thank you. Well, panel, that was really interesting, some great advice today. Let's give our panel a round of applause. If you would like to subscribe to the podcast version of The Real-Time Enterprise, search for The Real-Time Enterprise on iTunes or SoundCloud. And if you are already listening to the podcast version of The Real-Time Enterprise, please leave a rating or comment and let us know how you are enjoying the show.